Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Today is Wednesday, the 21st of July. Welcome to another episode of Cutting Edge. My name is Felicia Hula, one of your two co-hosts for this program. Joining me is my usual co-host to now my left. She's on my left today. Lima McLeod, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am good. I was up last night making my list of things. I have a notepad that I leave next to my bed to make notes of anything that I need to remember early in the morning. And last night I was up making notes of all the things we had to discuss today, from Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago finally finding their voice.
But
Seems they're no
how
longer doormat. Mm-hmm.
they still are doormat because I'm sure they didn't talk about overseas situation.
Well, they skirted the topic. They made note of some very concerning, they called it, some concerning decisions being made by the government in recent months. And they actually penned a very strongly worded letter. I was surprised. It was in response to the Minister of Communication, Simon de Norbriga, and his response to what Kejan Haynes would have said in his TV, what is it? News at 7 report. I didn't even know he had a News at 7. We're going to get into him in a little bit during this program. But Media Association, like I said, they seem to have found their voices. I also see KFC. They made the news a lot this week, in addition to reopening on Monday, in addition to one of their stores being burnt on Monday. It wasn't burnt completely all the way
No.
down. And in addition to raising their prices, they also opened their
the new
60th
branch
store in
during
Sandy
a
Grande.
pandemic. During a pandemic.
So, I mean, somebody else did that. Who was it? Was it Starbucks?
Starbucks.
It was Starbucks. So, I mean, people are. I don't understand. I don't understand how they needed to raise prices because material was getting hard. They said cooking oil and chicken went up, so they raised the price on the big deal and the boss deal by $2.05. They also restructured some of the menu, removing drinks with some of the combos. Apparently, drinks are more expensive. They added in extra sides in certain places. But I guess they are doing.
They remove one or two combos as well. So, but I mean, since you're home from on this pandemic, you learn to fry your own chicken. You season it up better. You clean your own chicken much better than they did. So you just have to keep trying, and you'll get the hang of it and do it better. I didn't try fried chicken. That's not one of my go-to meal things. I would more go with pizza.
I did the fried fish over the humidification, over the lockdown period. But it seems like, in addition to KFC raising their prices, and in addition to, I guess, people not having money, there was no long rush or lines reported in San Fernando. Personally, in the north, the few food places that I passed, there were no rush either. One businessman in South actually complained. He said, it's been 2 days and it's been very slow. Normally, I am sold out by 7:30 a.m. It's 9 o'clock and he hasn't even sold his goods yet. I mean, we can also attest to the fact that a lot of people are still unemployed.
Yeah, but not only that, people know how to value your money. value it. So therefore, you go where you getting value for your money. So if you know your neighbor doing chicken and chips, and that person was there to help you during this rough time, and you're going to continue supporting that person,
There is that.
it
And
proved that we were in this together. KFC and the rest of them wasn't in it with us.
Ian Nelson said people are broken, and that is true. I mean, not because the food industry reopened on Monday means that everybody else have that kind of money. And exactly what Lima said is true. During the lockdown time, we had people making chicken and chips for $20 and $30. Now you're gonna spend $40 and $45 and $50 in KFC. I don't think
Yeah.
that that's the way. And I just call in KFC. Of course, there are other food stores, food establishments across the country. But I think it's going to take a while before we really see
Yeah.
that spike again and people being able to or making outside purchases.
Yeah, but it
It's
goes back.
just
All now it things the Minister of Finance supposed to be coming out to say, well, what is he going to do to boost and ease the flow of cash in our economy? That is something that's supposed to have been done around the same time you want to open manufacturers association and the food industry, because you're opening it, but you expect people to come and buy with what? The hairs on their ass? If we don't have money, how you want us to do that? You gotta make money accessible, easy. It's either the banks ease up people with all the nonsense they want to charge and overcharge people for, and that's if you get through with your Republic Bank app to see how much money you have. Your easy flow of loans or things like that. But you're not here. These banks not doing anything to make it easy. I read a comment yesterday, a post actually, where a guy said the bank wrote him and told him that if he doesn't come and either make a deposit or withdrawal from his US account, it's going to be frozen. So he went to the bank. Yeah, apparently when you don't use your account after a while, even if you have money, it's going to be frozen. So he went into the bank to make a withdrawal. They told him they don't have the US to give him. So
to
he
make
said,
you withdraw.
yeah. So he said, so how do you want me to do something to activate the account, to keep it active?
They want him to make a deposit. That's what they want.
Deposit US. So he's like, well, where the hell are getting the US from? Well, you could go to another bank and purchase it. But yet still, on the port outside Movie Town there, you see a whole set of brand new cars. I'm not talking about the foreign used ones and the ones people bring down to sell it. Brand new cars for one of those dealerships, line off right in front with the plastic and everything, right? So all you could be giving these people multitudes of US dollars to bring in brand new vehicles. But me, who just want to go and take out a simple $100 US from my account, I can't get it. And we don't need those brand new cars now. How much? What cars selling in this pandemic time?
Shada Sigma just said, do you think anyone cares how we survive after this pandemic? And that's actually one of the things that I had outlined to talk about. This road to recovery team, where are they? What is really being done to stimulate the economy? I saw somebody earlier mention foreign direct investment, which is in the red because of our closed borders for over 13, 14, 15 months. And they are correct. We have no foreign direct investment happening at this time. We have people losing their jobs. We have no new jobs being created and new avenues for employment being created and added to the economy. So we literally at a standstill. I don't even want to say standstill because we seem to be moving backwards. The things that we once enjoyed are now considered luxuries.
Yeah.
And The
Them
governments
KFC
they are
prices were
constantly
very
telling us,
pricey.
wean yourselves off of us, wean yourselves off of us. But they're not putting anything in place to raise
Stimulate.
the citizens in the period of weaning. I
Yeah.
mean, when a child is learning to not to literally wean themselves off of their parents, they have other things to help them wean
Yeah.
themselves off, but they have weaning products and tools. What do we have to help us wean
Yeah.
ourselves off of the government? What have they created
And then
for?
this will tie in with the nonsense you said, Donna said about we get a better education to get a better standard of living.
Well,
How?
yeah.
How?
Let's
You,
talk
you,
about Donna
you
Cox and I call
creating
this
jobs.
particular story the audacity of Donna Cox, who, while giving out and distributing grants, Minister of Social Development, distributing grants to the tune of $1.4 million to 107 families, approximately 15,000 each, 7 individuals. And this is to do minor refurbishments and repairs to their house. And of course, you have to go through a process where you have to qualify and you have to show, you have to do the means test and show that you can't really afford to renovate your house. The works. And in her speech to the persons that she was distributing these grants to, I guess people from lower income families, she told them that the government's plan is not just to give away things, that they also want to create a sustainable economy and they want people to be sustainably employed so that they would not have to depend on the government. And she made a comment saying that education is the key and that people should use education to achieve a better standard of living.
It's,
And
it's like this woman in her own ridiculous, audacious bubble, and she's not seeing all what is happening around her because Dolly is a jackass and doing shit in education. Because if you have 2,232 dropouts, 4,000 out of the 30,000 children that only get devices. I just saw in the papers too where 146 children get to do SEA, do a makeup SEA exam, right? So how education is a thing when we have that disaster? The SEA doesn't suit every child's ability or capability. So how are you saying that education is the way out of for a better standard of living? It doesn't matter, regardless of if I choose not to do a degree after I finish secondary school, I am still supposed to be able to afford the basics. So don't tell me a better standard of life. Tell me if I want to have the luxuries of life, then education is the way out of that. Tell me if I want to buy brand new BMW and Mercedes and those kind of vehicles, then education and corruption are the options for me to get those things. But if I want to work KFC and move up to be a manager, or if I want to be a construction worker, the garbage collector, anybody, I am still supposed to be able to afford a home, pay my bills, and still be able to go outside and have a little meal with my family in a restaurant. So what exactly she's saying there by saying that if education is the way to have a better standard of living, when your government still not providing the basics for the lowest income earner?
Stephen Matheson just asked, are the
A
rich
very good
educated?
question. No.
Some are. That's a very good question. Because some people have made their money by underhand or through underhanded means, and it had nothing to do with being educated. It had everything to do with realizing that Trinidad is a corrupt
And
cesspool
who you
and
know?
that you can get away with almost any and everything. And they use those skills and they use the fact that we have no proper checks and balances in the country to take advantage of it and to take advantage of people and to feather their own nest. So no, I do not believe education is the only key. And when I say only key, let's be real, educated people, they do tend to have access to more opportunity. But then let's go back. Why, if education is the key, then why is it so inaccessible to some? If
No, but
education is the
look
key,
how easy education is. Everybody could go and do a degree. After you do your degree, what job you get in? So education at this point does not even make sense because I have a degree in occupational safety and health. I can't get a job in that field. I know a lot of people who finished do one degree, couldn't get a job, so they went into another one. And then they're doing their masters. And they're still in the same low paying job. So all the education, you still cannot apply for the job in the field you study. It doesn't make sense. So what you do, churning out people to do degrees, and you're frustrating people because with all that degree and you still have to go and take a work as a packer or stock clerk or customs clerk or some kind of thing like that, when you do a degree in accounting or management or some kind of thing, it's still not making sense. Look at what happened in Venezuela. All of those Venezuelans who educated and they came over here and they take whatever job they get. All the education some of them had. So education is not the only thing. The government has a huge role, which is creating opportunities. You go and you sell your soul internationally, like how they do it down here to the devil to get all the money. You do it outside so that people be like, yeah, let's go invest in Trinidad and Tobago. And you put stipulations. You have to employ Trinidadians. You have to pay us good salaries. And you strengthen your labor board because those companies might not want unions and so forth. But you have to strengthen your labor board. So any problems these employees have, they go directly there and then they go to the industrial court. That's what you're supposed to be doing. But you're not doing that. So what's education going to do in this time? And then you will be experiencing a brain drain where all these educated people are going to start to look at going abroad. And then what? We will be left with all the uneducated people.
Deborah and you've just said it takes all types of people to make up the world, and that's true. Not everybody is going to be a judge, a lawyer, a magistrate, a police officer. We need garbage collectors, we need firemen, we need scrapyard people, we need mechanics, and not all of these people are going to have university and college degrees. Not all of these people are even going to complete high school for that matter. You're right. What they need to be creating are opportunities, and not just opportunities, because there are people who have made something out of themselves despite not having an education or not having that background that could allow you to, what you said, have a better standard of living according to Donna Cox. But they've made something of themselves. But then now you have a situation where for all these people who have worked hard, who have built their businesses, who are being impacted by the pandemic, that let's just assume that we did everything right as a country. Let's assume that we had locked the borders and we kept it closed, and let's assume we did all the right things. Despite that, we still have a situation where the economy is literally floundering. We're not hearing any plans to stimulate it. We're not hearing of any future growth for the country. All we're hearing about is more taxes coming, as in income tax, not income tax. What's this one they want to bring back? Property tax. We're hearing about more taxes coming. We're hearing about subsidies being removed. And we're being told in other ways and more ways, wean yourself off. Yet while all of that is happening, ministers are throwing their luxury vehicles in our faces. They're throwing their tax breaks and their privilege in our faces. And the equality grows in Trinidad and Tobago, and the gap between those who have and those who have not.
But Felicia, look how her statement alone is a slap in some people's face, right? Because it is her government that came up with CEPEP. So what you're telling me that CEPEP workers should have focused more on education to get a better standard of life, right? Because right now, CEPEP workers who are supposed to be out there doing work, having continuous work because we're in a pandemic and it's a public health crisis, So the place supposed to be clean and all of that, and yet still you're seeing everywhere looking like a jungle. Have you driven around the savannah? You see how high the bush is now, right? So while CPEP was supposed to be out doing more work, you tell them no one cut pay. And that's the same people now you're coming to talk about and say, oh, education have a better standard of living. But a CPEP worker is one of the lowest income earners, and they are supposed to still be able to afford a home, afford to buy food, a vehicle if they wanted, and do whatever they wanted. Because guess what? It have some people who take pleasure in landscaping. Are there opportunities for CPEP workers to do other things, other courses, to move up, right? To do other things in that same field, to move up? The possibility of becoming, the man in charge of the group, to own your own CPEP franchise. Are those opportunities there for CPEP workers? Is that opportunity there for you to say, well, right, I started at this point, and in 2 years, look where I reach, because I was able to do this course and I moved up. I'm able to earn more money. Look, I have workers below me. They're going out now and they're cleaning the hiking trail to Paria. So people who want to go and take a casual walk could casually do it without the tour guide. And they know this is the path, so they wouldn't deviate and get lost in Brasso Seco and have to get, people to rescue. Are we doing that? Is CPEP allow that opportunity? Because those are things, once you had that, then you could have tell me education would raise a better standard of living. But if you don't have that, what you want those CPEP workers to do? Go UTT after you raise prices to enter UTT, and you have a whole set of shit that you have to qualify for to even get in UTT. So go and do what? Learn how to do what? To apply it to the job that you have me working in, because that's all I could do. Because I didn't see, at the point in time, I didn't see the need to finish school because I wasn't grasping it. School wasn't for me. Because that's a problem we have in this country. Children dropping out of school system, and there's her same ministry not picking up on them to curb it early, to be able to channel those children into a different direction. Right? During this pandemic, who were the people that were the educated people that were needed and necessary? Doctors, nurses, medical staff. That was just for the hospitals alone. But you still needed ambulance attendants. You still needed orderlies, the cleaners, the people to roll your wheelchair in, the people to take you from room A to room B. You still needed every uneducated post in the hospital. You still needed mason and all these people, because when you want to rush now to finish the hospital in Point Fortin to turn it into a COVID hospital, and you needed all your laborers, your tradesmen.
Kerwin Cardenas just said he's working on a 2014 salary in 2021. You don't think that making any sense? The cost of living going up. What next?
If he's a public servant,
we seeing that.
That is a norm. That's the entire public service, including your nurses who we clap to. But it's 2013 salaries, not 2014. Right? We clap for nurses. Yeah? While Donna and them buying brand new car. German engineered vehicles to stunt around in and shed a tail. While them don't know the difference between a motto, the anthem, and the watchwords.
Folks, if you're just joining us, please share the live. That's what I'm doing right now as well. Share the live on your pages, on your groups, on your newsfeed.
Right? So all the education she want to talk, if you was to take out all the uneducated positions that we have out of the country, you think they can manage to do anything? No, we can't manage to do anything. People just want to look down on your garbage collectors, but let garbage collection and the driver don't pass in 2 weeks now and see what problem you will have. See what problem you will have. You'll have worse than COVID-19. Garbage is essential. CPEP, essential. Just look at the state of the place. Everywhere looking like a jungle. So you're telling me we couldn't have CPEP continue their mandate, probably increase it because, you want them to clean all the abandoned lots and all these other little things that just are wrong there, right? While we in the pandemic, what you think people just choke up under each other to cut grass, to use the whacker? You have to be a certain distance from the man. This is nonsense. These people crazy. Donna Cox shouldn't be a minister.
Read any comment by Stephen Matheson. That statement by Donna Cox gives meaning to the narrative of the Prime Minister when he said nothing's wrong with the government making the rich get richer. I miss when he said that, but it seems like something he would say. They will employ you. Of course, they are not telling you. What of course they are not telling you is that with your degrees, the rich who have none will pay you less than a fraction of what your education is worth. Sharecropping system after slavery. I mean, perfectly said. We have so many people with degrees that are functioning in jobs that they did not initially set out for. We have people who functioning in jobs that they're not qualified for, but you take whatever hiring you. At the time, there are people who started off doing one thing and had to learn a trade or pick up some other form of skill in order to survive. And that is what we live here in Trinidad and Tobago. We live a constant race of survival. You have to survive. Living in the madness that is Trinidad and Tobago. You're walking out your door. I mean, you never know what could happen to you. You could be in the wrong place at the wrong time. You have to survive in terms of depending where you live, where you're from. Certain opportunities will not be are not available to you, and those are things that Donna Cox is not talking about. The inequalities in society, the class system in society, which is something that we don't address. There are so many different pockets and classes of people. We talk about the 1% and we talk about the poor people, but between that spectrum, there are a lot of people that fall into different categories of classes. There are those who they live and they function as if everything is all right, but they basically fighting up and surviving as well. And there are those who are cushioned by all of what is happening around us. They're not exceptionally wealthy or anything like that, but they have enough money.
Remember, according to Sadka, we are the buffer between the haves and the have-nots.
But that buffer is quickly eroding away as the have.
Because the buffer is becoming now the have-nots.
Well, that's what I mean when I say it's quickly eroding away, and you're looking around and people who you would have never expected to be in situations of need, they're in situations of need now. The repercussions and the ripple effect of shutting down Petrotrin. I saw somebody mention earlier that South is still a dead zone after they closed down Petrotrin. I wouldn't doubt that, because it was a major industry. It was a major income earner. Not only did it employ the people who worked Petrotrin, but it also employed the people who served the people who worked Petrotrin, the street vendors, the whatever you may call it. And that was an industry, an economy in itself, and that we completely destroyed. We took apart and we replaced it with nothing. And there's a hole there that you're not hearing what anybody talking about filling.
They were supposed to get the replacement first, get it up and running first, and then slowly close and transition the closure of Petrotrin. So the way they did it proves the point that they did it to hide the nonsense that was going on there. The port right now being sold privately, and we're not even getting information on that.
Everything that happens in this country, it seems to be happening under subterfuge. It's always secretive. the
Yeah.
purchase of the Sinopharm, there was the NDA attached to it, so we will never have any idea how much we really paid, what we really paid, what we really paid with, because next year here we didn't actually pay in cash, but we said, all right, you'll have the pitch lake and the port, take Wassa, TNTech and whatever
NP.
remain too. You don't know, and there's no way to know. I mean, the fact that there's so many rumors today, and the fact that we live in a country where nobody can tell you who owns the pitch lake and the revenue from the pitch lake means we could sell out everything at fire sale and we will never know. For all
Unless we
you know, we're
get
not even owned by us anymore.
exactly. And the thing is, you're taking loans, you must have some sort of collateral to use. So obviously the next major form of collateral is your human labor, your people. We will be sold into slavery. Once you have Trinidadian and Tobagonian on your birth certificate, we could be owned by the highest bidder with this government. Because they don't care. If tomorrow anything happens, they're flying out, they're not staying here.
It doesn't happen by chance. It's planned corruption by these clowns in Parliament. Nigel, I mean, nothing else could make sense because a child could run our economy better than the way the government has been running the economy.
Yeah. And look at that.
A call right now that I have to decline. Ronald, if you're watching this, I'm live right now and I'm going to talk about her situation in a little bit, something that we uncovered yesterday from a Trinidadian trapped in Guyana, traveling from the United States. She took a connecting flight to Trinidad that stopped over in Guyana. And as with everything that is planned and executed by Trinidad, under Trinidad and Tobago and our Minister of National Security, who is Stuart Young masquerading or Hines masquerading as Stuart Young. I don't know how to put it, but that system in itself seems to be flawed. And we're dealing with one of our nationals who is stuck in Guyana right now trying to make her way back. And I will talk about that in just a little bit. But wrapping up this discussion on Trinidad and where we are as a nation and where the economy is, for me, it is frightening because you're hearing about all of these negatives. And you're not getting any positive news. You're not hearing Trinidad and Tobago has just formed a partnership with Belgium, and I'm calling a random country, to provide employment for 1,000 locals in the field of manufacturing. Like, you're not hearing those things. And yes, it's a difficult time in the world, but still, who are the people responsible for taking us forward, and what are their plans? Is our only plan to survive? What about
Just look
thriving?
at how the Caribbean. Just look at how the Caribbean moving forward, right? As soon as Keith no longer is the head of CARICOM, you see how much things positively happening in the Caribbean. They're removing some sort of tax from airports to increase to ease the flow of traffic in the Caribbean. So they already put into place where when they have the high influx of Caribbean people coming to their countries, we will have less taxes to pay in the airports. They already have the bubble, so they know, right, which countries could come freely without having to worry about, COVID. We not in that bubble, obviously not, because if Keith couldn't do anything for CARICOM, what he doing? If he can't do nothing for Trinidad, what he gonna do for CARICOM? The
That's why they
Caribbean
replaced him. I have to assume that's why they replaced him, because I never heard of him doing anything positive as the leader of CARICOM. And I mean,
no, all he do was embarrass us by telling them, we not begging for no vaccine. But what we doing now?
And the other islands are basically laughing at us. We're now the laughing stock of the Caribbean. Such a fall from grace. Such a fall from
Yeah.
grace. I wanted to talk about our media association and get a little bit more into that topic and the response by the media association to what would have happened to Kijan Haynes. And for those who did not hear, he is
He gets
well,
it
he's
as
an
those for
ex
his own
TV6
medicine.
reporter, right? Ex TV6 reporter. He has his own news channel or show or program. I don't know. I don't watch it. Not particularly fond of the individual because karma is such a weird thing. The first time I
Yeah.
heard of Kijan Haynes as a journalist was back in 2018 when he very publicly came out without provocation, very publicly came out and admitted to blocking Philip Alexander from the media. Said this is why that when I was a journalist, and I'm paraphrasing, and I'm saying that I'm paraphrasing because Kajan Haynes took Philip Alexander to the Equal Opportunity Tribunal for his response to his attack. So that's like those people who poke you, and then when you poke them back, they go and report you. That was him.
Yeah.
So he came out unprovoked and basically said that he don't know who are the greater fools, the ones who support Philip Alexander or his supporters. And that was my first introduction to Kijan Haynes. And when Philip responded to him, basically calling out the fact that he was doing the bidding of the media and the media who employs him, he launched a lawsuit. Well, it's the equivalent of a lawsuit. And I can't speak too much on that matter because I was sworn to non-disclosure of the details of that matter. But I can tell you that the unfairness of the situation was very blatant because you had a reporter, a journalist, basically coming out and admitting to using the public-owned media to block certain
Yeah.
individuals that he had a personal beef with. And it's very ironic now that and the reason why he's a subject of discussion this morning is that on his news channel, he was blocked from entering onto the site where they were having the repatriation. The
Of the
700
Venezuela.
Venezuelan nationals were returning home. I guess things in Trinidad were too hard. And they say we rather chance it with Maduro than Rowley. And they only allowed TTT to cover the story. And Kajan Haynes apparently was one of the journalists who was not invited inside. And this is just the background story. Because Simon de Nobrega would have passed him on the outside, and Simon mentioned or made a joke that, well, according to Simon de
No.
Nobrega, his joke
Inappropriate.
was that they needed to give the reason why the others weren't allowed inside, the other independent news sources, was that they needed to give the government-owned media, TTT, a fighting chance. And I guess
So TTT so weak they can't go on ask the same better questions or whatever while the other two there? Please. Because you just want to control the narrative.
and that's what it seems like it basically boils down to. And it turned into a whole he said between Kijan and Simon. However, I mean, on both, and Matt has decided to jump in. Matt jumped in and basically condemned what Simon said. He condemned what Simon said, saying that the government, they've noted some very concerning decisions made by the government, particularly as it pertains to independent media houses, and that the role of the media. Listen, this is the matter. The Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago said the role of the media is to act in the interest and on behalf of the public, to keep the government in check, etc. And I'm like, Where was Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago 3 weeks ago with Uvashi?
Or where were they when Pep was there and they didn't see this bullshit going on?
Where were they when the same Keegan Haynes that they are now turning around to defend
Depend, yeah.
did the exact same thing to Philip Alexander back in 2018? And not only did he do it, but he doubled down on it and sought to, well, not sue him, he doubled down on it and sought to, I guess, penalize him or take him to task over him pointing out that he was clearly not an unbiased journalist. Where were they? Jeffrey just said good for Cajun Karma is a bitch, and I personally am not going to say that, but I'm going to leave that comment there for everybody to see. And I will say this though, what he did or what Simon did to him doesn't make, or what Philip, what Cajun did to Cajun did to Philip doesn't make what Simon did to him any acceptable, but it does point out that it's okay to do these things once it's outside of your own group, but inside their own little cabal, their own little media association team, they would pick up and stand up for each other. But what about the rest of the public? What about people who speaking out on social media where government ministers threatening to fine them and send them pre-action protocol letters? What about those situations where our
Matt is
freedom of
in a
speech?
very questionable position right now because all I'm seeing there is you run to defend Kijan. Why? Why you didn't run to defend Urvashi? Is it a race thing? Is it a male versus female thing?
Or is it a case like the PNM Women's Arm? They're only activated to defend their own. Maybe Uvashi is not a very liked member of the media. Maybe she speaks too honestly. Maybe she reports on things that they don't want her to talk about because it affects their own ability to earn an income. Who knows? But it's very ironic that they have found their voices now. They
Yeah.
also pointed out some other. Um they did not specifically mention Uvashi, but they did mention the fact that the government has been taking some very questionable decisions in the past year. And I noted something that I wanted to mention on that, and I can't remember where I wrote it down. But as the situation continues to develop, I want to see whether they're going to stick to this mantra of speaking out on behalf of free speech and on behalf of journalists. Oh, I found what it is I wanted to talk about. Apparently, after that very strongly worded letter directed towards Mr. De Nobrega, one of the new executive members, apparently Matt has a new executive. His name is Lasana Liberd. He resigned from his position on the executive of Media Association of Tobago. This is following the letter. He said the new board or the new executive that is in charge, he does not agree with the decisions that they are taking. And I don't know how to interpret that because the only
Why?
thing that they
Because
seem to
you
be
were
doing now is
sitting
their
down on your
job. So
hands
he
for all
doesn't
the
agree with them doing their
time.
job. I don't know.
No, but is it that they found that you was too quiet all the time, so they get rid of you to get people who will be more vocal? Because as it is right now, media association supposed to be looking at getting attorneys involved to take the government to task about that. That is what they're supposed to be doing. We clearly don't have real journalists or anything in this country. And they need to start to take the token journalists to task, the ones who just be spouting wherever the ministry, the government says, without asking any, real investigative questions, asking the real things.
I saw a post by this clueless, out of touch, disconnected journalist Asha Javid on social media last
That's
week
what I was
saying,
talking about.
stop saying Trinidad and Tobago is a dictatorship. We are a democracy. Some absolute bullshit this girl was talking, and I'm like, you could tell when journalists in the hands of these politicians, you can
Yes.
tell because as a journalist, she's exposed. We do this every Monday,
And
Wednesday,
if you
Friday.
watch her profile, right, she says investigative journalist. And it's like the audacity of
Bullshit.
her to put that on her profile. You are not an investigative journalist.
Probably investigating what is the newest source of income for her. Who knows? Anyway, let's not go down that road. But this so-called investigative journalist who, like I was starting to say, you and I do this program every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the amount of bad news, the amount of failures of the government that are underscored in just these 3 days alone, it is enough for us to say this. Let's flee the shuttle, migrate, and start a new life elsewhere. She's an investigative journalist dealing with the news 24/7. That's her job. And she can't see the slippery slope that Trinidad and Tobago is descending into a dictatorship. She can't see that.
No,
So
because she
I have
probably
to
drives
assume
in some, German engineered vehicle. She's probably living in an area where the police will respond if she calls, and she probably has, an unlimited bank account where she doesn't have to watch her price of food and all these different things. She probably has a chef at the ready for all you know, because if you were buying things, you would know, oh my God, this went up, that went up, and to be able to cook it to now appreciate the value of your money, but she probably immune from those things.
she's, I don't want to say she's out of touch because out of touch implies that you're not aware of what is going on. I think she's deliberately blocking or you see,
She's
for
trying to square the
journalists to say
conversation.
that, I know for a fact that this person could never be unbiased. This person could never be, unless she's just stupid, because you have to be stupid to look around Trinidad and Tobago right now and not see
She's
how
probably drive with blinders on, just looking straight, if she's
Lama,
even leave her house.
Daniel Jackson tagged us in something last week, and I saw Anne Marie Doolal repost, and I didn't talk about it because it's old, but it's still so very pertinent to what is happening in this country. It's pertinent to what we just discussed with Petrotrin shutting down. That case against Malcolm Jones that was brought
Yeah.
by well, I have to say the UNC Petrotrin board, because at the time it was not a PNM appointed board, but the UNC appointed Petrotrin. Sorry, the UNC appointed board brought a lawsuit against Malcolm Jones for the failed gas to liquid thing that he tried to implement that cost billions and billions of dollars. It's one of the major reasons cited in many of the inquiries done into the failure of Petrotrin and how you can revamp Petrotrin. It's one of the many reasons attributed to why Petrotrin eventually got shut down in the first place. And basically, the news report, for those who didn't see it, was the Privy Council, because they took the case all the way to the Privy Council, trying to understand why would Petrotrin drop a
Yeah.
multi-billion-dollar lawsuit against a man who clearly, and the signs are there, who clearly through incompetence and mismanagement and terrible decisions cost what is now the shutdown of Petrotrin today, and the Privy Council could not understand it, and the only explanation was political interference. When they
Yeah,
switched
but
government,
wasn't Stuart and Faris, or wasn't Stuart part of Malcolm Jones' legal team?
he was, and Faris was the Attorney General who came out and said that the matter was dropped against him, which I do not understand, because the case was progressing, and the Privy Council asked, as a board, as a reasonable, and we want to believe that this board, they are reasonably educated. They are.
It have nothing to do with education and nothing. Is that you are political. They were PNM people and they didn't want to sink their own people.
And those are the things that I have to ask Asha Javi, and I have to take her head and shove her nose in it and ask her, are you not seeing these things? The multi-million dollar cars that our ministers are able to purchase on tax breaks, and while we can't even get $1 US withdrawn from our accounts. Aren't you seeing those things? The fact that they could raise their own pension and tell us there's not enough money to raise yours, to raise the general public.
Probably get US.
Isn't she seeing those things?
No. No. Why would you see it if you're living life good?
The people in public places and in public positions like the media who play such a critical role in shaping public perspective, they have failed all of us. The Asha Javids, the
Hamers,
the Hamers, all of them who were in positions and who sold out, and I say sold out, all of those who got the rumored condos and the rumored cars and the little.
Yeah.
Ashmead Mohammed. Asha did some serious pieces back in the day that dug deep in issues. She's not naive. She has been intentionally making these statements. Exactly. She's not stupid. But it's very easy for the media to get intertwined with politicians who they cover when they tell them,
as they go to
this nightclub, you know. I have links in this exclusive restaurant.
Sold to the highest bidder.
Hey, and that just another day in the mad upside down.
Just look at that, right? We're talking about media. Up to now, I shared the post from Fishermen and Friends of the Sea. 2 fishermen from Granville are missing at sea. Up to now, no news media covered the story. Right? We get 2 new Coast Guard boats. I didn't see them out and about looking for these fishermen. It don't matter what your perception of what they went to do, if you think if they were legitimate fishermen or not. We have 2 citizens or a crew of citizens that went out at sea and are missing. Your mandate should just be to go and find them. You find them with whatever it is, contraband or whatever, you deal with that after. But your mandate is to find them. What Coast Guard doing? You get 2 new boats. Where's your problem now? Where's your excuse now?
It's going to be gas. They don't have gas for the boats to run.
Well, the amount of hot air coming out of all of them is enough to fuel them boats.
LOL. But spot on. But that's what we know it's going to be. They're going to buy those boats, Lamar. They're going to park it up. They're going to say they have no fuel. Then in a few years, we're going to hear that they did not do preventative maintenance and the boat they're not working anymore. They have to go and order 10 more. Then the cycle repeats. Change government. The government say, no, we don't like this contract. We're going to cancel it. We're going to bring in our own boats. We're going to pay 10 times the price you paid, even though you paid 50 times the price. And the insanity.
Yes, they will commission the Prime Minister went down. There's a meme with Stuart there, the Energy Minister, talking to the Coast Guard guy. And then Fitzgerald Hines was there looking quite awkward. And Amory Brown there looking all... Yeah. So I believe it was. They made a big ceremony out of it. What the hell are you waiting on again to click and start it up and roll? And then you're going to have Coast Guard members coming out to defend it because they're looking bad and getting all touchy and emotional. I wonder if they fix their bathroom quarters yet with all that pallet and nasty sewer looking water they had to bathe over.
I just saw somebody post Rudy Nana, and good morning to you, Rudy, one of our regulars. And guys, if you're just joining us, please share the live. We might go on a little bit later, past 8 this morning. He just said racism is strong and very rampant in Trinidad and Tobago and is being seen and promoted by this dictatorship.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say something about that just literally went poof in my head. What did I want to say about that? Can't remember. But
somebody saying the boat's too new to go out. Well, like get a little sandblast and then go, but you'll get that out on the water too. So carry it out and look for the fisherman. Or what about all the others? I don't understand. Well then, pace. I don't know. What the hell is the purpose of the Coast Guard then?
I remember what I was going to say to his comments, and it's a little off topic on the Coast Guard stuff. But reading his comments about racism, I was recently reminded about our national anthem or motto or
the watchwords
or
Terrance's version of it.
Via Terrance's version of it. But our motto, I was really reminded of our motto: together we aspire, together we achieve. And you know, for a statement that is as real and as strong and as powerful and as positive as that statement is, we as a nation couldn't be anything further from that truth.
Yeah. Separated, we aspire.
Our motto is together we aspire, together we achieve. Yet our leaders every 4 and 5 years take advantage and use our differences to divide us further.
Yeah.
They manipulate our emotions and our feelings. I mean, I watching an argument taking place on Facebook right now that pissing me off, and it pissing me off because I've seen people that I know being involved in the argument, and I want to tell them, yo, you all know better. And the argument about what is the national dish of Trinidad and Tobago, doubles versus crab and dumpling, or doubles versus kalu.
It's crab and
I'm thinking, what is wrong with y'all? What is wrong with y'all? What is wrong with y'all? Lima, on a day where I don't have much money, I would lick down about 3 doubles.
A PNM sycophant is who shared that, and he's very, 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 very stupid. Because with all of that, and one of the other people posted it, he didn't see no long lines of people standing up to buy that. But again, when you have a jackass of a prime minister saying what's so special about doubles, when we have pictures of him eating the same flicking doubles.
And that is it. And those are the little subliminal things that our leaders do. They do the very obvious things around election time, and then during the course of the 5 years, they do the subliminal thing. They make it as them versus us. Them UNC and versus the PNM.
And what a stupid it is, right? He's saying that is to trigger UNC supporters. But UNC supporters are all, oh God, why are they so ridiculous in taking that chain up? Look at all whom are ministers in PNM. Terrance, Clarence, Faris. All the Syrian Faris want to look like he's not Syrian, he's Indian.
Rohan.
Right? Look how much there. And all of them is be calling the shots in that party. Not Hines, not Amory Brown.
Right? Rampensad, you know,
Simon now trying to
these two comments are so very real. You know what's sad? The fact that we can line with every creed and race, but every creed and race can't unite for the betterment of the nation. That's Stefan Rampensad. Spot on. Davy Mirage below that said Americans would never choose between tacos and apple pie. It's all American food, and that is what I feel. Callaloo, crab and dumpling, pilau, doubles, roti, palori, all of it is Trini food. Why do we have to separate what we... There's something
again, that is that is to prove how PNM and UNC not working for Trinidad and Tobago. And what's her name? Paula Gopiskun is a mistake of a Minister of Trade and Industry, because you lose out on the opportunity for Juve. And clearly now, Or you trademark doubles, or you put it out there in the public space that once you type in Trinidad and Tobago, the list of food coming up, Carnival, Juve, Eid celebrations, Huse, Pagua, Diwali celebrations, Christmas, Parang. From the time you type in Trinidad and Tobago or any one of them words, that all of that's supposed to come up one time on Google. But no, no. All of those things are supposed to come up. Those things are ours. Christmas time is parang. You could go and parang all over the picking country. Pastel.
Bennett Thomas said a nation divided can never be called a nation, and he's right. A nation speaks to unity, and we do have that.
No, because
right
of our
now.
because of PNM and UNC.
You remember last year in the height of the pandemic when they closed down doubles, but I think others were allowed to continue banding. And I remember the amount of racist statements and back and forth that happened.
Yeah.
And I looked out for Keith Rowley. If it's one thing I was waiting for him to do, I was waiting for Keith Christopher Rowley to denounce all of those racist statements. And there was not a
Nothing. No.
nothing.
No.
And that's how you know your leader is more interested in keeping you divided and fighting than seeing you all united and thriving.
Then I show him he don't eat KFC, yeah? And well, after he had nearly bust in his chest too, he's not supposed to be eating greasy things either way. But I am positive KFC is not on his diet at all. We see him eating doubles though. We see him eating doubles. But and this is why I said a prime minister of any country is not supposed to be interested in dividing. He is supposed to be more interested in unifying your people. So they come out to bash doubles. He was supposed to pull up by source the next day. His driver come out and buy doubles for him if he don't want to come out, and you wolf it down.
The last thing I wanted to
photo opportunities like what's her name? Khadija. I mean, she taking photo opportunities, making doubles. Well, he was supposed to go and take photo opportunities, eating doubles.
What is she doing? Sorry.
She was taking pictures of her helping make doubles. And you know that was just a stunt because I mean, come on. She had on her very good clothes making doubles. You can't make doubles in.
So it was a photo op. It was a social media stunt. All right. Yeah. Cool. The last thing I wanted to discuss this morning, and I'm actually dealing with it while this live is going on. For any of you who watched the Philip Alexander show last night, or Live with Philip Edward Alexander, you would have heard him interview a woman named Rennie. Rennie, who's right now messaging me from the airport. Her flight boards in, well, I think her flight is boarding now. Unfortunately, she will not be, or from what she's explaining to me, she will not be able to board because she's also traveling with her mom. And her mom is not being allowed to board. And for those who want the quick version of this story, yesterday my phone was ringing down. I answered it. I didn't answer it actually. It was a WhatsApp call and I read the messages. Woman named Rennie, we call her Rennie, messaging me. She's trying to reach Philip. She's stuck in Guyana, traveling from the United States of America. On the 14th, when they announced the opening of the borders, she would have applied for her ticket the day after, the 15th, and her mom took a PCR test on the 15th. She took a PCR test on the 16th. Now, this is where it becomes confusing and I would say dysfunctional. The PCR test that you have to take needs to be taken no more than 72 hours, 3 days before your intended arrival in the country that you're traveling to. So if I come into Trinidad on the 25th, my PCR test cannot be older than the 22nd, which means you have 3 days to not only take your test, but you have to take your test, get the results, book a ticket, and apply for your travel exemption, which is the new rules to come in Trinidad and Tobago. The problem with it is you don't get your PCR test results right away. And that was her problem. So she took the test on the 15th and only got back her results on the 16th. I think she made the application on the 16th, which gave her until the 19th to return to Trinidad and Tobago. She got to Guyana on the 18th. On the 19th, they did not want to let her in. And she said she called Caribbean Airlines. They did not want to let her mom in because her mom's test was on the 15th, which meant hers would have expired on the 18th. So she's explaining to Caribbean Airlines that she called them and she told them, based on my PCR information, I would be arriving after. The Caribbean Airlines rep told her that's okay once you're coming within the 72-hour window. And the woman was referring to the 72-hour window of receiving your results, not of receiving the test. The problem is, because Caribbean Airlines would not let them on, she had to go back on the system to try and reapply for a new travel exemption, except the app wasn't built to allow multiple applications, and there's no way to cancel your previous application. So she had no way to go on the system and update her new information. She had to actually go and take a PCR test, pay 30,000 Guyanese dollars, which is about 190 US dollars to get a test, pay extra money to get it done within the 24 hours, and only to find out that she cannot upload her new documents on the site. Calls to the Ministry of National Security yesterday went unanswered, and I know this because I personally called them. When I did get through, they transferred me to a line that just nobody ever answered the phone. It just rang.
Especially goes
and this
any
woman is stuck. Philip asked her, why didn't you buy a direct flight? I wanted the same thing. She didn't buy a direct flight because the cost of a ticket to come to Trinidad and Tobago right now direct is 3,000 US dollars. 3,000 US dollars. The airline industry is clearly intending on making up in the past, in this year, what they fell short of in the pandemic year. So she's stuck here. She's stuck there. The update is, this morning, she was able to talk to a Caribbean airline rep who was able to call a link, and they say Trinidad and Tobago has to work. She was able to call a link who was able to reset her application. However, they were not able to do it for her mom. So this morning, she has a new pass to travel to Trinidad and Tobago. Her flight departs Guyana in 30 minutes. Boarding started at 8. So I'm assuming she's not boarding. She has her pass, but they were not able to do the same thing for her mom. So she's still inevitably stuck because who's going to leave their mother to travel to Trinidad while they are stuck?
2 ministers of national security.
Now, this is the insanity. As of tomorrow, her PCR test, the second one she takes, is now going to be invalid.
That's bullshit. Like, what the fuck going on with these people? You can't just get her ass on the plane and make sure she quarantine home. What the result change between the one day it expired and now? That is shit. That's real stupidness. You're frustrating people. You're frustrating people.
Not just frustrating people, but the cost of doing all of this. I mean, they had to sleep outside the airport because they were not allowed inside because they were outside of the 72-hour window, which meant they had to find their way around Guyana, a strange country, to find a PCR test. I mean, the person who builds the application, couldn't they have installed something like start over or resubmit or
reset?
So she's trying on the system to enter her new application, and it's saying this reference number or her passport number is currently pending for a prior application. So unless she gets somebody in the Ministry of National Security today, and I don't want to say it's too late. It's 8:12 a.m. I told her I would try to call them as well. Unless I get somebody or she is able to reach somebody in the Ministry of National Security who can call the person who built that online application, or who can go into that online application, retrieve her application, delete it, and allow her to upload new documents before 8:40 a.m., she will be stuck for another day in the country. Pamo Mahabir just said madness
But
is
Sabra,
beyond madness, is
dog
insanity.
could come in,
And
right? And probably go straight home and not stay in quarantine for the 6 months they want your dogs to stay, right? So them dog have better say than citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. You see that stubbornness? And Trinidadians sitting down and taking and taking and taking and taking. And the ignorant PNM supporters, well, yeah, because your party in power, so we could take and we could, who tell you to travel, blah, blah, blah. Because you can't travel, you don't go nowhere, it means nobody else should.
I think it's best we didn't bother to open the borders. It's best we didn't do that because
She better hightail it to Venezuela and pay $250 and come over. Ask them Venezuela how you just do it. Because doing it the legal way clearly ain't working.
And that's it. And that is, that's one of my biggest problems with the way we set up, is we set up to encourage corruption. We set up to continue doing the bad things. In order for you to progress in almost anything and anywhere, Lima, you need to know somebody. You need to have a link. And
But
if you don't, what is your position?
This is not a sign for her to set up camp in Guyana and stay there and live, because Guyana doing better than Trinidad, I mean, she could use that as an opportunity to reassess things. You out, stay out, because here not any better. She could probably buy a piece of land with the amount of money she have there in her account.
Personally, I want to see this woman return home with her mother. And I mean, yesterday I went from thinking there's nothing I could do to actually calling the Ministry of National Security, calling her and connecting the calls, hoping that, they would be able to resolve the issue. Because I'm trying to imagine.
Phone number and call him and ask him, yo, do something. You can't do that at least. So we are the cost to them.
Actually, Lems, I saw somebody said so through they'll come to the south border just to reach home. She might be better off taking an illegal boat to come here.
Yeah, because Coast Guard didn't want to work the two new ones, so we might as well. Better yet, Coast Guard could send the boat over to play taxi. They could make money doing that.
Pamo asked how old is the mother. I am not certain, but the young woman I'm speaking to seems to be in her 30s. I'm assuming her mom could be anywhere between her 50s and 60s. It is a really sad and unfortunate situation, and I'm going to see what I can do to assist her. But again, understanding. I told her yesterday, I said go down to the airport in the morning early. Find the most senior person you can find in the airport in Caribbean Airlines. See if they would allow you. And this is what I don't understand. You can't get a new travel exemption because the app not letting you go in to upload your new documents. Can you, and I asked her that, can you go with your previous documents that said the 18th and the 19th, accompanied by physical copies of your updated PCR test, which would show that I have taken this test less than 48 hours ago? So that means I should be allowed. I told her to try that. It doesn't seem like that works. But then again, that's how we operate. Even common sense, we can't.
No. But I don't wish that Trinidadian, she has to come home. So bring her home with her mother and you just enforce mandatory quarantine. That's all. What's she going to do? Add to the 300 and something cases we already have per day? No. And even if she's one more, so what? We done not testing people who getting the vaccine. We just giving out vaccine. We don't know if people have COVID or not, but we giving out vaccine. So what's she really coming to do, Trinidad and Tobago, at this point in time, that going to do more damage than what the Ministry of Health already doing?
Not to mention the risk and the additional risk that they are putting both mother and daughter, or exposing both of them to now, where they have to go into an exchange country and find a PCR test, thereby probably increasing the exposure to anybody who may have COVID-19.
Yeah. And if anybody in here online is in Guyana and knows where, reach out to one of us to give us a number or a name or something to get the test out. Let's see if we can help her, because I don't understand. This is not even donkey logic. This is like, I don't even know. A primary school child will be able to figure this out better than this government.
Limbs, and I didn't add the cherry on top of this bullshit cake. The cherry on top of this bullshit cake is Philip told me to ask her to visit the Trinidadian consulate, the Trinidadian embassy in Guyana. Except it closed down.
Lord have mercy.
So there is nobody for her to turn to in Guyana right now. No Trinidadian consulate, no embassy, no call, no airport, nothing.
But after the foolishness Rowley do in trying to insult the Guyanese people, I wouldn't be surprised if the Guyanese people tell them, get the hell out of my country too. Because that's what we paying our foreign affairs minister for? What we paying Moses for? And he's still the minister of foreign affairs in this whole madness. You notice we have never heard anything about our foreign affairs minister, a release, or nothing, eh?
She just updated me. She said her mom, they're saying my mom can't get on the flight. So then I guess that means both of them are not going to be on that flight returning home. And I don't know this woman. I've never met her. Yesterday was the first time I spoke to her. And my heart's going out to this woman so much because I cannot begin to imagine the frustration that they are feeling right now. And I personally, if I could have chartered a boat and go and get them, I would go and
that might be the easier thing to do too. You never know. If 1,700 police cars missing, I can imagine how much Coast Guard vessels missing to commandeer one and go and, pick up people and come back.
There's a metaphorical noose that's being tightened around our necks, and I feel it. I'm feeling it in this situation. I feel it. Just living in Trinidad, I feel it, and it's. I tell you, it is one of the most frustrating.
Yeah, I shared a meme yesterday that said,
I tried to call it. Was that?
I said yesterday I was looking at a meme that said, me looking at this rock and wondering, the amount of people that I have to hit with it. And I had shared it and I said 41 to be exact. And it's like, it's not even 41, it's like, it's 41 times 2 because you had to hit them twice with it. Some more than twice. That is foolishness. You telling me Sabga dog have more play than our citizens? I will always bring up that. I don't care if the man bringing the dog last month or how much months ago, but it is clearly easier for this flicking dog to come in than our people. She did everything that was required, and because all your system full of shit, and You can't do this and you can't do that and you have to wait for this and then the other. All your incompetence made all her things expire. That is the height of lunacy. It's like you could go mad, postal mad, trying to get to your country.
Whoever is seeing this that might know somebody senior in Caribbean Airlines, that might know somebody in the Ministry of National Security, that might know of anybody offering assistance to trainees in Guyana, please reach out to me on 769-4590 as we try to get assistance for one of our own people who are stuck abroad. Listen, you know, pissed I get yesterday when that man transferred me to that number and that went to voicemail. I was livid. I've been trying to get a passport appointment. I don't know. Is immigration open? Are they closed? Are they what? I don't know. I've been trying to call the passport office for the past week and the number's just ringing. I just asked if they can't reset her mom's application too. She said they can't get a hold of anyone.
And then when you call Stewart and Hines and these people jackass, people want to get vexed.
All right, so she needs to talk to me. That means I need to go. I have to wrap up this. Again, I don't know what I can do. Amory Brown is the Minister for Foreign Affairs. I don't know why he wasn't on that platform answering questions. I know this stupid thing. That online portal has no way to send a request for help. It has no number to call for help. It has no address. It has no email. It has nothing. Nada.
As usual.
What's that?
I said as usual. That is how donkey logic run in this place. That's stupidness.
And I'll close reading that comment from Davy Mirage. The pandemic made nothing worse. It just exposed the fake country we really are.
Yeah. But that's what I said in the early is that COVID will show up all of our failed systems and clearly only dunce people we have in positions.
All right, Trinidad and Tobago, thank you for joining us this morning. Sean Richards, if you'd like to speak to us, you can find me on 769-4590. Please don't call me now. I'm live. So I decline the call from whoever tries to call me. I do the live from my phone. It gives me better quality. But yeah, 769-4590 if you would like to speak to me after the program on either assisting Rennie or anything else you would like to reach out to myself or Lima or the Students Union about, you can call me on 769-4590. We touched on a lot of things today. I mean, it's ending on a very bummy kind of note, but then that's what it means.
Look, Rory is sending a message for you, so you can
mention that aspect.
Read
and
it.
I can't hear anything Lima is saying. I seem to my phone rang, so it took away all the audio, so I would leave Limbs to close. And
Rory just sent a message. Felicia, read it and you will see what he says. Rory, you'll probably have to message Felicia with the information or call her. You see in his comment?
I'm going to nod my head and pretend that I could have read what you said. I can't read lips. So just close off the program whenever you're ready.
Okay. Well, Rory, you'll have to send Felicia a private message with the information or call her, right? Thank you very much for helping. Remember, guys, if anybody in Guyana knows anywhere that the PCR test could be done, please reach out to Felicia so she could get this information to Rennie. And let's hope for the best. Remember, we are in COVID, so sanitize, wash your hands, social distance, be safe. Remember, social distance when you go for your doubles or whatever. And remember to keep supporting your small businessmen, your neighborhood chicken and chips and pizza, right? So for now, bye. See us on Friday. Bye.